are live. Chris Denman here, one-on-one with the great Ben Bailey in town. And I'm sorry, I'm talking kind of loud given your state.
No, I'm okay.
Ben, how are you, man? Good to have you back here at the Funny Bone this weekend, dude. St. Louis gets pumped for you, man.
Yeah, it seems like it. I don't know why, but
I blame your TV show.
But I'm happy to be here.
And you're funny. That helps.
Thanks, man. I'm a little hungover. It's not too bad, but
yeah?
we had a good time at the club last night. And
yeah, it's easy to do that too. Have you ever done the thing? And I won't say her name. She's from Georgia, and her rhymes with Iana. But if have you ever done the thing where you have a late show over there, and then you serve yourself at the mid-late show? Sometimes they'll do an 11 o'clock show.
Oh, wow.
It's 11 o'clock on a Friday or Saturday.
Right.
You're over there BSing. I was chit-chatting, having some fun with a comic over there, and she made fun of herself that she was kind of sloppy going back up at the last
on the late show?
Happen? Yeah.
Well, I usually do too. I haven't done a late show in a long time.
Those are interesting.
But I used to have a few drinks in me for the late show.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the only sober person in the room, you know.
No, that would get kind of weird.
It's better if you have a couple in you because they're going to be pretty loaded.
Yeah, that's very true. Dude, it's we talked to you last year and you're here, you're back, you're having some fun. I just listened to you on Corolla recently.
Oh, yeah,
having a lot of fun with the new inception of Cash Cab, man.
Yeah.
That's got to be great too, especially Uber's out there now too, so I bet the cab industry our guy's back.
Yeah, they totally were.
Yeah.
They were like, "Yeah, man, we don't need an Uber. We got the Cash Cab is back." We got such a reaction from people in New York when we were out shooting again. It was it was amazing.
That's so wild. I wonder too. Obviously, it's a smart, funny concept, but there's a lot of smart, funny concepts that get left behind.
Yeah.
The name's perfect. I don't know. You're the right man for the job. What's the success from, you think? And a revival too. You had 7 years? First time around 6 years, something like that?
We did. We were 8 and then we didn't do it for 4 and then we've been doing it again for the last 2.
That's awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we've often wondered what exactly just a lot of things just sort of clicked with the show.
Right.
And I mean, it didn't just happen either. We went out and I drove that cab around New York for 3 weeks, 12 plus hours a day, 6 days a week before we were like, okay, we had this, I remember we had this one game, we had these 2 women, I picked them up and we drove across town, downtown, dropped them off on the Lower East Side. Cliffhanger of a game. We didn't think they were going to win. They won, they went for it and they won again. And it was the first time that we all were like, this could be something great, man. Like that.
Right, 'cause there was some drama in it, or
yeah, and it was super fun, and there was some drama, and it was just so engaging. Everybody was caught up in the game and the show, and we were like, this could really be something. So it didn't just happen, but on a certain level, things did kind of just fall into place, and just the whole thing just sort of gelled. And there was something right about the timing of it.
Right. It's almost cheating, too, when you stick somebody who has the comedic chops that you have in a situation like that, because it probably feels like at home to some people, I could run that. I could run that game. No, you couldn't.
Right.
It's probably much harder than it seems. I'm trying to think, who else would it have to be a comic, somebody that's super quick on their feet and able to kind of deal with weird situations? And
yeah, well, I think comedians are suited to hosting game shows for that reason. We're used to kind of keeping things up and lively and moving along. Yeah, but the thing about Cash Cab is you also have to drive a car through New York City traffic at the same time, which
special skill,
which is another thing that some people are not so great at.
Right.
It's easily the hardest, the most difficult job I've ever had.
Interesting.
Hosting
the driving
Cash.
part. Oh, the hosting the Cash
Hosting
Cab.
Cash Cab while the whole thing. It's
especially when you're hammered.
Yeah, and I'm pretty good and drunk by the time we're actually picking people up. Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you though.
Yeah.
Functional.
It's just another skill set.
Yeah. My uncle has that skill
That's
set.
like does he? That's like the beginning of Stripes.
Yeah.
It's like, I just wish I hadn't had all that cough syrup. That old lady with 1,000,000 bags.
Yes. Gosh, I haven't seen that in forever.
That's like 4 movies in one, Stripes. It's a great movie.
For sure. And then anything that's getting quoted by mostly, people who were definitely not around whenever it came out. That's some staying power too.
Yeah, man.
I mean, you'll see people still do that. That's the fact, Jack.
That's the fact, Jack. Such a great movie, man.
It is.
Is this? Are we terrestrial or can we?
We've been pimping it all morning on the morning show. This is a podcast.
So we can say whatever
Say whatever you want, man.
fuck I want to.
Look at you
Oh,
go.
thank God! I've been
Yes.
editing all morning. It's nice to just say fuck once in a while.
It takes a pro to be able to be entertaining and talk to radio people in a random city every weekend. But then whenever you can kind of cut it loose, it's nice too.
It's
right?
nice to not have to edit. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. How does your act work? Do you ever run into anybody that's come out that's just a real wholesome Cash Cab fan?
Oh yeah.
And maybe they see something that their delicate sensibilities weren't prepared for.
Yes, and sometimes they get up and leave.
That's so.
Yeah.
You're a funny guy, and you're respected. And what a
People
I
just
wanna
have a
shake
weird
them.
idea. Like,
Yeah.
this one woman stood up. I was at the House of Blues in Boston, packed house, big venue, totally packed. This woman just gets up and she's walking toward me down the aisle to leave, to go out,
Yeah.
And she's leaving, and I see she's got a young girl with her. Just her daughter, who's like 16 or something.
She's probably already ruined, if we're being honest.
Her daughter knows all the swear words,
Right.
And so this woman gets up and she's leaving, and she's making it's noticeable. She's like, everyone has to get up to let her walk out of the row, and then she's walking down the middle.
And they sat through an opener and a feature for you?
Yes, yeah, who both swore plenty.
Right.
Like I had there's another story when I was in Atlantic City when this guy got up. I had my friend Greg Rogel, is a great comic. He featured for me so we could go hang out together.
Yeah.
This is a totally separate story from the House of Blues, but it's quick.
We'll bring it back.
And these people get up and they're leaving, and I go, what's the matter? You guys are leaving? You were 10 minutes into the show. And this guy goes, I don't care for the language. and I go, Rogel said cunt. You stayed for him.
Yeah. I know this isn't how it's going to end, but I would be so happy if that guy, and I can't even do the accent, that accent's perfect. If that guy looked at you and goes, hey, you got a point, and sat back down.
Yeah, and sat back down and stayed.
Yeah, you're like, he did. That's a great point. Continue. That would make me
You're absolutely
happy.
right. I was wrong to leave.
Right.
We should have left then if we were going to, and now we'll stay.
I'll give you another opportunity.
In a
Fire it
perfect
up.
world.
My apologies.
Yeah, that would have been a great way for it to
Can I
end.
send a beer to the stage?
That's not what happened.
No, it's not.
In reality, they left
Yeah.
and were offended and complained.
And they probably cussed somebody out on their way home for going through a stop sign.
Well, that's what happened. That's another interesting thing is they holding me to a standard that they almost definitely don't live up to themselves.
No way.
The woman in Boston, back to the House of Blues, started swearing at me. She's walking out of my show because I'm swearing, and I'm giving her a hard time, and she gets fed up, and she calls me an asshole, and she says "fuck you" to me.
It was in Boston.
And this in Boston,
Oh,
yeah.
She had that. I hope she had that.
She had the
disgusting
Boston accent. Yeah. I go, now you're saying "fuck you" to me while you're leaving my show because I said "fuck."
Right.
And she was like, "You're an asshole." And then she's like at the door. I mean, everyone's laughing. It was funny through the whole thing. And then as she was leaving, I was like, "Your daughter thinks I'm cool, more so than she did when you came in."
Exactly.
She was just like,
Yeah,
gave
to
me this really nasty look and stormed out.
To this day, that daughter's second and third husbands are going to be really jealous of how she feels about when Cash Cab comes on.
Yeah.
She's gonna
Oh,
have
I
a
love this
visceral-
guy.
She's just like, she's going to really, and she doesn't know why she loves you either. But
Yeah, she
just
won't
her
remember
mom
that.
ingrained it in her, unfortunately.
It's really interesting little thing. Like parents often will bring kids to shows. Not that they're not like minors, but like they'll be there with their kids, and they'll both be worried about the language or the subject matter for the other one. Like if neither one would care if they weren't there with their mom or with their kid.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like watching a Seth Rogen movie with your parents. Like the
Yeah,
dad and
you're
mom
like-
are probably like, "This is pretty funny," and then whenever there's some silly sex scene, everybody's like, "Are they laughing?"
Yeah, this
there's
is
a weird
awkward.
dynamic, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's strange, and you can probably feel that or pick it out pretty easily from stage.
Yeah. I mean, if they're like everyone's laughing, but there's like a mom and a daughter just like nervously sitting there looking wide-eyed, like Come on, you two, lighten up.
Let's break down the barriers. Yeah.
Yeah.
What? You're a big guy. You played some college baseball?
No. I didn't
Nothing?
play. I didn't play. I
Damn it,
played
why do I
club
have it in my
sports
head?
and.
Okay. Have you ever had anybody mess with you at a show where they
Sure, yeah.
try and get a little physical or something?
It's funny. This seems to be coming up today.
Did this get asked earlier?
Something like that. I've been my own bouncer before.
I was gonna
thrown
say, that
people out a few
happens with
times. Yeah.
People larger than other people. Like I don't know how many
Just
shows I've ran or how many things. Or I worked at a brewery, a very laid back brewery.
Right.
And I just remember like collaring dudes, just like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah.
born a little taller than a few of the people
Yeah.
here. But shouldn't we have a busser or somebody do this?
There
But
should be security or something to do this. But
You've
if
had to do
there
a little-
isn't, you have to do it yourself.
self-bouncing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, wow, again, it's like the people walking out like, why did you choose to come here on a Friday?
Yeah. What are you
Drive
doing? What's your?
Money.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
I've had a couple where the guys in the crowd are like, "Oh yeah, well you want to,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Okay, if you want, if you really want to, I got a lot of pent up anger, dude.
Yeah, I usually.
I don't know if
work
you
out
can
on
see me from where you are, but
here. Right. unless you're Scottie Pippen, I don't think it's gonna work out for you, man. It's interesting too. I've done a bunch of stuff. I don't remember. I think we talked about this last time, but with like Ian Bagg, another big dude up on stage.
Yeah.
He's had to do that where people run up to the stage, and it's not the Pauly Shore getting decked on stage or something.
Right,
but
right.
There are those instances. I always just find that interesting. It's not even from. I mean, it sucks. You have to deal with it, but it's the psychology of the crowd member that's what's happened.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen to them once a month for the rest of their life because it's not about you. It's them.
No, it's them. It's them for sure. I've had instances where it's not always been like that's the end of it. Where I'm like, yeah, if you're gonna force it there, then I'll, I'm not. What am I gonna do? Run away from you, or
right? I gotta do
I
3
can't
more shows.
do that.
Get my ass kicked in front of you guys. I gotta accept this challenge.
But I've also had a couple of instances where some guys come in and they're purposely fucking up the show, and I rip them a new one, and then there's a bunch of them. A couple times I've had it. There's like 4 guys, and they're like, "We're gonna wait for you after the show," and I'm like, "Well, then this show is gonna go really long."
Right.
Some little club in Carolina somewhere. These dudes rolled in, and it wasn't at a college, but it was close to a college, and like most of the audience was college kids. Mm-hmm. And these dudes came in late, talking, making noise, and I started ripping on them.
Yeah.
And like saying, "You guys make a choice. You can't be a college student and a gangster. You can only look so tough carrying a biology book." Like I ripped them for 10 minutes, and then I realized that they were not college students. They were actually gang members.
Townies,
like they were gonna kill me. They were like everyone. It was quiet and frightening.
And people are like,
and I did 2.5 hours of stand-up comedy that night
the club is like,
to a crowd of like,
no, just watch the door.
Just let me know when those guys have left because they're going to shoot me when I walk out the door.
Gosh, it's
pretty scary.
What an occupational hazard. Like an accountant doesn't have that, right?
No.
That's too bad.
It was a pretty scary situation there.
Well,
they were gone by the time I came out.
They got out of there?
Yeah. These other kids were like, "Dude, those guys are not... Those guys are not... Yeah. They're not who you think they are, man.
They have real problems.
They have guns, and they will kill you."
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to stay here for a while then.
Who wants to hear a story?
Yeah. It all started when I was 4 years old, and
continue.
That was pretty...
They're here.
Oh, the guys are here?
They just got here. Let's work
pretty...
it out. I want to hear the story. No, so you're at the Funny Bone all weekend long. You had fun last night.
Yeah, had a great time.
Are you going to have fun all weekend? Are you going to have beverages, or now do you shut it down for the weekend and recover?
I'll have some tonight.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night I won't.
There you go.
Because I got to get up. I got to fly home. I got to go back to my life.
Yeah.
But I can't. Like, I say I was partying and I'm a little hungover. It wasn't bad.
Right.
I kept it reasonable because I know that if I don't, like if I partied last night and then partied tonight,
right.
I'm not 25 years old. I will
34.
be.
Man, I can't do it.
I will be a mess. Like I won't even be like physically in bad shape. It's just my mood. I'll just be like, why am I so depressed? Why do I feel so terrible about everything?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's the depressants, I think.
Yes.
Maybe it's the 10 gallons of depressants that you drank over the last 2 days.
Still subtly coursing through your veins,
Yeah.
right? That might add on to something like that. So are you in New York still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm back and forth. I'm in L.A.
LA too?
Not quite half the time, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I was going to say, how are the scenes treating you? What are you kind of noticing? Is it just business as usual? I mean, any kind of new talent that you're noticing? Any kind of formats? We had the unfortunate stuff with Louis C.K. and all that.
Yeah.
And then now we have a comeback. I guess that's already happened.
I haven't actually been.
I'm not trying to even make it a Me Too conversation. It's just interesting to see how scenes are kind of evolving or moving forward.
I've actually been in the clubs in L.A. more than the clubs in New York lately. It just sort of works out that way.
Yeah.
Like I'm either on the road.
Right.
I don't hit the clubs in New York as often as I
Really?
used to. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because I'm often on the road, or I'm like I said, I'm spending time in L.A. I'm kind of pursuing working out at the clubs out there instead of in New York. You know?
Big difference in who you're performing to on each.
The crowds are different,
Yeah.
but like the Comedy Store in L.A. is hot right now. It's like the place to be, man. Like there's great
there a month
lineups,
ago.
great crowds.
It's unbelievable. If you're a comic fan or a comedy fan, and you are able to kind of see who's sitting, getting ready to go up,
Yeah.
or you kind of see who's off to the side. Just if you're aware of it, it's heaven on earth. Like,
Yeah.
Eddie Pepitone just kind of walking around. You got people that are giant stars popping up every once in a while. Guys like you going up and doing 10 minutes.
Yeah, man.
With 10 other people, you're on your level.
Yeah.
Like that's so fun.
It's a great place to be watching and doing comedy right now. This is the Comedy Store. It's just such an interesting place.
It is.
The club, like it's been there for a long time.
And then it even had a downtime itself. And then the resurgence, 10 years ago, 8 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. The last 8 years or so, it's really kind of turned around. The Improv was like the hot club in L.A. for a long time.
That's so weird.
And the Laugh Factory sort of jumped in.
Yeah.
And the store was, struggling.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were like financially struggling or what for a while, but they were not the place to be for quite a while, and now they totally are again.
It's so interesting, man. And
it's like how does it change?
I don't know. I guess you thank Joe Rogan for everything. Right?
It just
massively changes
Yeah.
all kinds of society and everything else. But no, it is super interesting. And if anybody's traveling out there, even if you're, I mean, if you're listening to this, you're obviously into comedy, but it's just an experience. You pop in. It's not expensive to go in. You go in on a weeknight. You can see your favorite comics. You can see up-and-comers that are killers. Maybe somebody, celebrity will pop in. It's interesting, man.
It's worth checking it out.
Absolutely. So what else do we need to know? What do you got work? What are you pushing right now, buddy?
Right now, honestly, I'm trying to.
I want to shoot a special with my iPhone real quick. Like everybody's putting out specials every 2 days now.
Yeah, let's do it. I actually am ready to tape one.
That's awesome.
I have a deal in the works, but it's nothing set yet. But next year there'll be a new one.
That's awesome. It's the right time to do it, man. I joke about that, but you have all these production companies and you have all these outlets for it to live, and if it catches on, holy cow.
Yeah, it could make a big difference, man.
It absolutely could.
I'm bringing my podcast back, Tall But True.
Very
the
cool.
storytelling show.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
You do live shows with that?
I've been doing a live storytelling show that's different. It's not Tall But True. It's called What's Your Story? Mm-hmm. It's where I host, and then we have 3 amateurs tell stories, and we have comic judges.
Oh, that's great.
And then they win like a prize bag. Like it's a fun show.
There's
a whole storyteller world out there, like of people who aren't comedians, but they have somehow discovered that they like to tell stories and they're good at it. And like we have a backlog of people that are waiting to do the show. So
and it's an art form in itself. I did.
Yeah,
there's a show. Sorry, please continue. It's a local show here, and it's very funny. It's very interesting. I did it. I talk for 3 hours a day. I host stuff. Whatever. I've done stuff in front of a couple thousand people. Whatever. I was like, I'm gonna crush this thing. This is gonna be fun. These people be eating out of my hand.
Right.
I go up. I was a little off on the format. The longest 10 minutes I've ever had.
Oh, wow.
My point being,
you were doing stand-up and it was meant to be a story?
You know what it was? I was tossing things like we would on a radio show where or a live podcast, like if you do a live podcast with Corolla or something, like there's your thing.
Right.
You're basically feeding him, and then he says something to you, and then you're bullshitting the whole time.
Right.
I remember just lobbing some softballs, like, yeah, they're gonna run with this and make fun of me, and they were just like looking at me.
I just didn't say anything.
I was like, come on, guys. But then I realized, I was like, I'm not playing their game, and this is their damn show.
Right.
But it's one of those things where if it's a storytelling show, you could be really good at it, but it's also a skill on its own.
It absolutely is.
And like you said, amateurs, too. Just because, you're a good stand-up doesn't mean you're going to go tell a good story that's at least captivating in that moment.
There's a lot of stand-ups that are not good storytellers.
Very true.
Some of them don't even want to get into it. But
well, you think about it, like George Carlin, or you have guys that were literally rehearsing their act. You know what I mean? Beforehand. So that's much different than
it's much different than
beats,
recounting something that really happened to you and doing it in a way that keeps everybody interested and it builds and it.
The slow build is so important.
Yeah, man. That's how that I've always been a storyteller. Mm-hmm. Long before I started doing stand-up, I would perform more or less for my family and my friends, just telling stories.
Right.
And I never realized that I really had a knack for it, and that's kind of what led me into stand-up. But now I've gotten older. I don't hang out with the same guys like that I grew up with and stuff, and I see them once in a while, and I realized that they're telling my stories.
Really?
Like we all, some of them we all live together or whatever, but when they talk about the good old days, they're basically
because you put it into their head
so
eloquently, right?
So now they're like, I'm like, this is my good friend telling a story the way I always told it.
Isn't that
and
wild?
I don't think he knows that he's doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
But it transports all of you back to the same place and everything. Like,
yeah.
That's interesting.
They all do it. I'm like, I must be good at this because these guys, my stories are the ones that these guys are telling still,
They're playing the hits, man.
Yeah, we're just playing the hits. But it's definitely a different skill set from stand-up. We used to do a live show called Urban Myth. Mm-hmm. It was just supposed to be comics telling stories. Some of the biggest name guys that came in, they couldn't do it. They would just start doing their act. And then our crowd would be like, whoa. Everyone would be like, you're not supposed to.
It's not entertaining. And then because, unfortunately, it's a watered-down version of their act, right? I mean, like, in a way, it is storytelling.
Yeah, or they would just bail on the whole story thing and just, because they weren't getting a laugh or and we're like, no, just tell a story. You don't have to get a laugh every 5 seconds.
Right.
Or 10, just tell the story. And they're
okay with it.
Yeah, they're like, what do you mean?
That's so
I can't.
strange.
Some people just don't have that gene.
That's most comics nowadays, because they have podcasts or they've been on a million podcasts or something.
Yeah.
There's a difference too with podcasting and radio and everything like that too, where thankfully there's only been a few where you're literally just like, it's like you're dragging an anchor through this, and it's like, do you want people to get excited that you're in town? Because I can't tell the way this interview's going, and I know that 99% of people that come in here have at least an okay time. Like at worst, give it your best to sell some tickets.
They just give you like nothing to go on. You ask them a question, and they're like, yeah.
Right. Well, it's like,
you're like, all right, this is going to be a short interview, dude.
It sure is. And I was like, what if I put it in your terms? Like, if I come to your show and something's funny and the crowd just goes, ha. That's right there. Do you
quiet?
Like that?
That happens once in a while. You get a crowd that laughs for a 3-second burst, and they're like, what's next? You're like, I hate you people. When is this going to be over?
All of a sudden, you do 90 minutes of material in 20.
Yeah. You're like, well, that was my whole show. There was no laughter filling time in the middle.
Well, this weekend, Funny Bone. You've got the special next year. Cash Cab's rocking. Man, so good to see you.
Got a new game show in the works.
I
have a new original music album
No.
that I haven't released yet.
Really?
I just played it for the guys at the club last night.
Yeah?
It went over pretty well. They seemed to like it.
Like, what kind of electronica do you play? Like, how does that work?
No electronica.
He won't even play along. He's like, dude. What kind of music do you play? Seriously.
It's rock. It's it's kind of like classic rock kind of stuff.
That's awesome, though.
Like
some
a little bit of
guitar
folk.
licks.
Yeah.
Little folk?
A little bit of like folk rock kind of a feel to some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm only about halfway through the ones that like I've done 8 of 16 songs that I have, so I figure I'll have 2 albums. But there's some that are like that I'm saving for the next one that are like slightly different. Like there's a couple of reggae tunes and like one that's kind of maybe would be considered metal.
Really?
Yeah, there's all different stuff.
Are you going to tour on that?
I don't know. If enough people want to come out and hear us, absolutely.
Take advantage of that Cash Cab crowd, dude.
Yeah, well, we'll
come
see.
Come to the show, do 5 minutes up top, play music, rock out, man.
They're already confused enough. They're like, this guy does stand-up? Wait a minute. Now they like have a band. They're like, wait, hold on. What the fuck?
Yeah, what is happening?
Just pick something and make it easy for us, you know.
Just look directly at the camera. My brain won't stop.
I can't help it. I have to create.
Yeah, that's how it is. Man.
It's always been a hobby, music, and I always wanted to record my own songs, so I finally did. So I'm going to put it out there. I just have to figure out.
That's exciting. Seriously.
I'm really excited about it. I put a shit ton of work into it.
Well, congratulations.
The last 2 years, it's been a big focus of mine, just trying to get this stuff done. And
well,
I don't know what to do with it.
For a special and new material.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like that's happening just by doing the shows. You know, yeah. I do my best writing on stage. Right. Really. I mean, I have ideas, but then I go out and flesh it out live and in the moment, and that's the stuff that sticks around. So I'm kind of creating new stuff all the time, and it just happens that I'm ready to do a new stand-up special right at the same time that this music album is done.
Drop an album,
and I'm developing a new game show. And
that so how does it work with the game show? With a new game show, I mean, is it under the same production company or something? Not to get too technical, but
no, it's totally different, brand new idea.
And they're okay, like Cash Cab, say that keeps going for another 5, 10, however long years. They're going to be cool with you being Cash Cab guy and Plinko guy. Or
yeah. We had to have a discussion about it.
Lawyers.
Yeah. And then they said we're not into game. We're not looking to make any game shows or anything anyway. So basically my deal is if I want to make another game show or another show, I have to give them the first crack at it.
Oh, yeah. So Discovery, do you want to buy
Discovery, I'm like, hey, are you guys interested in this? And they're like, it sounds like a cool show, but we're not looking to make another game show.
Yeah.
So you can shop it around and go do whatever you want.
Do you know where you're taking it?
I don't know yet, no.
That's exciting.
It is, yeah. It's fun. Yeah. It's been in the works for a while, that one, too. Several years I've been working on that one.
Tidbits of the concept?
I can't.
That's so interesting.
I can't yet.
Even do it. So we do like, in no way am I comparing this to your conceptualized game show and your level, but we do like a roast show and it's unique.
Right.
We have celebrities and rounds and topics and stuff like that. So it's like, it wouldn't be weird to say it's like roast battle, but more topic. It's not, you don't just roast each other. And it's really fun live and everything like that. Then you start looking into what it would take to like make that a weekly game show or something.
Right.
I made a game show.
It's a lot of work.
Show. It is so difficult to do that, to be fresh, to be funny, have the talent. I mean, on a national level, you can pull in more people and stuff, but it's for you to be doing not one but two, because that requires some work.
It's
and
a
you
lot.
would be the host of the new show as well?
Yep, I'll be the host of the new one. And I shot a pilot for a new show, another different show.
This is getting embarrassing.
Called it's comics telling jokes.
How does this work?
It's just like we're hanging at the back bar at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Telling jokes, myself and 2 guests. Just talking about like old school jokes and
nice.
And what's funny about them, and we tell our favorite ones, and who told you your first one? Everybody's like, it's usually a grandfather or an uncle, and there's like some story that goes along with that. I've always been fascinated by those jokes.
Isn't that weird too? And they get passed along too. Like, how do the second graders in 1987 have the same jokes as the second graders in 1997?
Yeah.
Was it parents?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And 67 and 57 and like all the way back to like when our parents were kids.
Yeah.
They were telling the same jokes. Like they get handed down, passed along.
And I'm always like,
where do they come from?
Yeah, I blame Bob and Tom for a lot of jokes from my childhood, I bet.
Oh, really?
And then my dad was listening to them, and he like just told me, like, hey, I was listening to this on the show. I feel like I regurgitated a lot of Bob and Tom jokes in elementary school. Because I like
That's cool,
that radio
man.
show, too,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that was it. That's the stuff, too. That's super interesting. It's almost the way you're describing it. Like an almost docu-style. It's almost podcast-esque.
It is.
In the conversation, it's not 3-minute hits, on TV, throw it a commercial. It sounds like it's more nuanced and developed and interesting.
Yeah.
In that sense, that's
it is. It's a little
you're juicing
more
my beats, man.
podcasty feel.
Yeah.
But it's it's video. It's like
It's real. It's real, Chris.
well, no, but it is real. It's just that we're taping it.
No, I know.
We're shooting it too. Is the only difference, really. But
so
the feel
weird.
of it is like people sitting around talking and telling jokes.
That's exciting.
It's fun. It's really fun, man. And I'm still hearing jokes that I haven't heard.
Really?
And like I estimate I probably have 100 jokes that I could draw on if we started telling them.
They're funny.
I could probably tell 100 of them.
I'm maybe this isn't the best.
I keep hearing new ones. You got one?
I don't. Not worth.
Oh no! I thought you were going to tell
I was
him.
going to say I saw Bert Kreischer, who's probably got 50 street jokes ready at any time.
Yeah. We should have had Bert on there. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I didn't know he's a joke guy.
Well, I saw him do a show, and somebody got mouthy with him walking out, which I'm like, who gets mouthy with Bert Kreischer? That was weird. But they were like, you're not funny. Say something funny and I'll stay. And he goes, I got one. And I can't effing remember it, but he dropped a joke. And they died laughing. He goes, you got to stay. And they did.
And they stayed.
It almost looked staged.
And then he started his material again, and
he
they
went right
left.
back into his material.
No, I'm just kidding.
And then they flipped him off and walked out the back door. So,
Fuck you, Bert.
well,
that's
happens,
funny, man.
What happens if all of those go? If all of those projects go, do you have to cut some of them down, or can you spend?
I think
all
I can
plates?
do it. I think I could do them all.
Yeah, I guess
think
the
so.
scheduling and
Yeah, it's not like we have to shoot them all at the same time.
True.
You know, like if Cash Cab, we shoot for a month and a half, and then we're done with for quite a while. I could go and do something else, and a lot of irons in the fire.
That's the way to be. It's the only way to be.
It's not even like it's just a creative drive. Like I constantly have ideas for stuff that I like, and I've been honing the way I think about this stuff for years. And it's like, I have good ideas that I want to explore often.
Don't
so
stop.
I'm just trying to keep doing it,
That's fantastic.
Trying to make as many of these things as I can before I die.
Wait.
I don't want to leave them on the board.
Even at the highest levels, you can't sit there and wait for somebody to bring you some cool idea because somebody else is already going to jump on it.
Someone's going to jump on it, yeah. And odds are somebody's already doing, something, along the lines. Like I start another project I'm working on. Is a documentary about jokes, which is called The Funniest Joke Ever to Be Written. So I'm getting people. I've been taping comics and others telling me their favorite joke for several years. I have a lot of people on film doing it. The idea was to make a documentary about what makes these jokes funny, and then write the ultimate joke, like the best one of all time. Turns out someone did this very similar thing. Really? To what I'm doing a while ago, a comic. Yeah. And he came up with this amazing joke. He wrote this incredible joke. It's so fucking funny.
And you're just like, how does this get formulated?
Yeah. And well, that one I know. I'm like, oh, this guy did a similar thing to what I'm doing. And I heard someone said that Norm Macdonald is doing a similar thing about jokes. The conversation we're having a conversation about that documentary is what spawned this other show. Mm-hmm. Because there's another guy in the room who knows a lot of jokes. We started telling him. 4 hours later, we're all like half drunk and our sides were hurting from laughing, just dying. And the guy from the club goes, "I think this is a show, man. Why don't we make a show out of this?" So
that's legendary, man.
It was so fun, man. We laughed.
And if you get to do that too, I mean, that's just one more excuse to hang out with creative people and do entertaining things. Yeah, and it just fell together. Like it was like, oh, well, these guys, maybe let me call these guys and maybe they'll shoot it. And like in a month, we had a whole crew and a production team, and we actually shot it already. That's why you hang out in L.A. Yeah. Making things happen, man. Yeah. So it's been really good, and I have high hopes for a lot of these different things. I have high hopes for just hearing all this stuff. Super exciting, man. Thanks for coming by, dude. It's so good to see you. And, you too, man. Funny Bone all weekend long. Yeah, well, just Friday, Saturday, no Sunday show. Yeah. Just so people know, Yeah, for sure. And then Twitter's always good at... I'm Real Ben Bailey on all social media. I just have been posting a lot of new stand-up clips to my YouTube. Nice. Which is Ben Bailey or Ben Bailey Comedy, I think. They can find them out there. So, and all my tour dates are up there. I got stuff through next July. That's booked. Good to be in demand, man. Yeah. I feel good about how things are going right now. Just trying to
keep on an even keel and keep moving forward and
keep those plates spinning
and have fun. I'm trying to remember to have fun.
Yes, like
get so caught up in work. It's like I'm supposed to be having fun,
right? Yeah,
you know,
I get paid to make people laugh. I should enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I was getting caught up in like, I found out I like looked at how I was spending my time, and I was like, I'm doing office work.
Yep.
And because there's a lot of stuff that goes along with all these things, I'm like, I'm doing that. I'm doing promotion.
Yep.
I'm doing marketing. I'm booking travel for myself. I'm like, something's not right here.
Right.
I need to be focused on. I have all these creative endeavors that I want to work on. I need to focus on those. So I have now hired a whole team of people that are doing that other stuff for me.
Yeah.
And I'm able to I can actually sit down and write jokes.
That's a great level to be at.
It feels good. I hope it works because I'm paying. I have to pay all of them. They're not just volunteering. You know?
Yeah, listen.
They're expecting a check.
Yeah,
totally.
God, that's the truth. And the creative stuff always gets cut first, so that's good.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
And that's where your focus is supposed to be in this thing. And we were just talking about how it's changed. We all have to be our own promoters, and there's so much more to it than there ever used to be.
It is, and simultaneously, it's easiest for access. Anybody with a phone can become a YouTube star or something to a degree.
Yeah.
And you have that happening, but at the same time, guys like you who are established and all that, you got to go hustle and play the game too on a bunch of different levels.
Yeah, I got to be in the mix. You got to keep yourself in there. You know, it's all in here, in the phones and the tablets or whatever. And I was very late getting to that front because I was doing Cash Cab, and I was like, I don't need Twitter. And then I was like, oh, this Twitter thing might catch on.
Yeah.
It's already been huge for 5 years. So I'm like, maybe I should start up an counter. You know?
Might have something here.
So yeah,
we'll follow you on there.
Yeah, please follow me, everyone, on all the social media.
Everything.
And come out to a live show, and yeah, man.
Rock it out, man. Ben Bailey, everybody.
We are live, live, live. We are live, live, live.